Welcome 3D students. In this video we're going to animate this structure that we rigged here. So let's get started. First thing we want to do is check the rotation of our control objects here. We set this at the close of the last video, but we just want to double check and make sure that it's rotating correctly. So select all three of these control objects here and get the rotate tool and rotate them and make sure they rotate like this, as if they are rotating around each one's individual pivot point. If they do not rotate like that, then you want to come up here to the main toolbar and find this button right here. Hover over it and make sure it says Use Pivot Point Center. If it does not say that, then click and hold and select the right button. It's this one here. And then check and make sure that it rotates correctly. And then you want to select each control object and come down to the timeline and delete any keyframes that are there. You can just draw a selection box over them and hit delete on your keyboard to make sure there are no keyframes. And then we're going to get the rotate tool. We're going to select all three of these control objects. Let's turn on auto key and move the time slider ahead 10 frames. And rotate these to the left, like so. And then we're going to take this beginning keyframe here, select it, and let's hold down Shift and copy that out to frame 20. So now we should have a cycle that looks like that. And then let's move ahead to frame 30 and rotate them to the right, about like that. So now we should have a cycle that looks like this. And then let's move ahead to frame 40 and take this keyframe where they're straight and copy it to frame 40. So we should have something that looks like that and that. And then let's select all of these starting at frame 20, and we're going to hold down Shift and copy them to frame 50. And that should look like that. Now, after this point, it should swing back to the other direction. So let's take, let's take this one and copy it to frame 80. And then let's see what we need at frame 100. Sorry, I didn't have my glasses on. It looks like this one needs to be at 90. So at frame 100, it needs to be straight again, and that is this one. So let's take this one and copy it to frame 100. We should now have a cycle. Let's see if that works. Not perfect. Okay, so now we're going to animate the movement back and forth. And we're going to animate the position of this global controller. We're going to make it move back and forth. And this is like we would do if we were animating a walk cycle. So let's move this, turn off auto key, and then let's move this over to one side of the grid, like so. Move your time slider to frame 0, turn on auto key, and we want it to be straightened out at the other side of the grid, like so. So move it over to the other side of the grid, and then we're going to take this keyframe, and we're going to move to frame 40. Going to take this keyframe here, hold down Shift, and copy it. So now it should look like this. And then let's move to frame 60. Take this one and copy it over by holding down Shift and moving it. And then let's move to frame 80 and copy this one, and frame 100 and copy this one. Now let's see what that looks like. Now it's not perfect because we're ending on the other side of the grid. If we want it to cycle, we need to end it on this side of the grid. So to fix that, we're going to need 20 more frames in the timeline. So we can add frames to the timeline either by right-clicking on the play button here and just typing in a new length, or you can hold down Control, Alt, and the right mouse button and just sort of zoom 20 new frames in like this. And then what we need to do is take this keyframe and copy it to frame 120 and see what that does. Now we don't have the bending, like it needs to bend from this side to the other, but that's easy. We just need to select all three of these like we had done before. We don't even really need to turn on auto key. We just need to take these two, hold down Shift, and copy them over to frame 110 and 120. Now we should have a cycle that loops. Like so. So when we come back, I'll show you how to render this out in a video using Video Preview, which is kind of like a screen grab. It's a very quick and easy way to preview the exact animation speed of your animation without looking at it in the viewport. And I'll see you then.